What are indignities and how do you prove them in a divorce? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchlow, the attorney and founder behind Kinchlow Law, a family law and estate planning practice based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania allows for you to get a divorce based on fault. That means that one party caused the marriage to dissolve. There are 6 fault grounds that the legislature acknowledges, and one of those is called indignities. Indignities under the fault grounds is kind of like a catch-all. It's kind of where you don't have enough to maybe prove adultery or maybe cruel and barbarous treatment, but it kind of is that thing that makes it really hard to stay in the marriage. There are 3 things that the court has kind of carved out in order to prove indignities in a divorce, and that includes a course of conduct that, although varying in circumstances, makes it really hard to stay in the marriage. It makes it intolerable, and it's something to be inconsistent with the marital relationship. So let's dig into that a little bit more. When it's a course of conduct, it can't be an isolated event. So there are things that may happen that come up every once in a while that, maybe there's some abusive language, maybe there is withholding of a sexual relationship for a period of time. Those things may not be enough to prove a course of conduct. However, several instances of someone ridiculing the other person, maybe embarrassing them to their family, to the children, to business relationships, those are things that may suffice in terms of proving that there's a course of conduct that is intolerable to the relationship. One of the things the courts also look at, or legislature looks at, is whether or not the person who's asking for the fault ground of indignities is an innocent and injured spouse. We kind of talked about the injury, kind of what falls under that. But what exactly does it mean to be an innocent spouse? All right, so the courts have kind of carved this out again a little bit themselves because there is no specific definition to this in the legislature. Now, what it means to be innocent means that you don't actually have to have completely clean hands. Some of the things the court has looked to has been whether or not there was provocation and the timeline of things. So in some cases where there has been adultery committed by the person who's claiming the indignities, the courts have also found that maybe there was actions or activities that occurred that caused that spouse to kind of leave the marriage. So imagine a situation where, again, a spouse is maybe ridiculing the other person, talking about their earning capacity, or just having a level of hate and disdain for the other person and talking about that in public, or even ridiculing them within the household, making it very difficult for them to be able to continue the marriage. And that person goes off and then has an affair with someone. The court has found in some of those situations that the first activity, the cruel treatment of them, the ridiculing, was actually the problem, and a little bit less the adultery that occurred after. So that spouse can be considered an innocent injured spouse because they were at the time an innocent and injured spouse. Again, that is really important when we're looking at proving indignities because it may, again, change the timeline and also have an effect on whether or not certain things can be claimed, like spousal support. All right, so think about whether or not your situation might fall into this. Again, this is a catch-all where you may not have enough to prove the other 5 fault grounds, but the marriage is just intolerable to the sensibilities of an ordinary person. You should speak with an attorney licensed in your jurisdiction about the facts specific to your case. And remember that these videos are not to be considered legal advice. They are for informational purposes only. Hit subscribe and be sure to get other tips like these in the future. Until next time, take care.